Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how you can create this simulation by using Dynamic Paint. You can get the file and the backed cache on Gumroad for $1 through the link in the description. So let's get started. As always, I'm going to use this HDRI here. The link to that is in the description. Hit Shift A and add an icosphere. And let's set the subdivisions to 4. Go to the physics properties and enable Dynamic Paint. Add canvas. Now set the surface type to waves. Add a plane and press Ctrl 3 to subdivide it and scale it up a little, like this, and move it up. Add Dynamic Paint again and set this to brush. Add brush and use particle system under the paint here. Let's go to the particle properties and create a new particle system. Set the number to 100 and the end to 250. Go into front view by pressing 1 on the numpad and press play. As you can see, the particles fall pretty far after they hit the sphere. I don't want them to fall that far because it will just increase the baking time. So let's set the lifetime here to 35. And now if we go back and press play again, as you can see they die around here. Go back to the physics properties and under particle systems, select the particle system that we just created. Now if we press play, we've got something like this. As you can see, it doesn't look that great, so select the icosphere and press Ctrl 3. Go to the modifiers and move the subdivision above the Dynamic Paint and set the render to 3. Now if we press play, it looks like this. Now let's shade smooth. I'm going to add the camera now. So hit Shift A and add a camera. Press Ctrl Alt 0 to go into camera view, and first let's select the icosphere and hit delete on the numpad and zoom out here so that it's in the center of the frame. So let's press Ctrl Alt 0 and go into camera view. Select the camera and press G Z to move it in the local Z axis. Select the plane again and go to the particle properties. Go to render and disable show emitter. I'm doing this just in case the plane casts a shadow on top of the icosphere here in the render. Disabling this is going to prevent that. Save if you haven't already, and let's add a cube. Shift A, cube, and scale it up like this. Now let's go into side view and go to the physics properties, go to fluid and select domain. Make sure that the top and the bottom of the cube are not in the frame of the camera. So let's move this down. Set the resolution divisions to 128 and enable adaptive domain. Enable dissolve and noise. Go down here to cache and set it to all or modular. If you select modular, you will have to bake this and the noise separately, but I'm going to set it to all. Select the plane again and select fluid and set it to flow. And let's select fire and smoke. Set it to inflow, and here under flow source set it to particle system and again select the particle system. I just moved the plane down a little. You don't have to do this, but I did it so that I can see the fire earlier in the final render. Set the sampling substeps to 5. I'm doing this because the particles are fast moving objects and otherwise Metaflow won't process this properly. Let's save again and select the domain. And by the way, I set this to 256. You can of course leave it at 128, but I ran a quick test and I think it looks better at 256. So now let's go down here and click on Bake All. Once it's done baking, save again and go to a random frame. I'm going to go to frame 50. Select the domain and go to Shading and click on New. Delete the principled BSDF and let's add a principled volume. this one, and connect the volume to the volume. Set the density to 1000, and let's add a math node. Connect the value to the emission strength and set the value on the bottom to 1000. Add an attribute node, and let's connect the factor to the value here and type in heat. Now add a color ramp and duplicate it. Connect the factor to the factor here and connect this to the emission color. Bring the black in like this, and let's set it to something orange, like this for example, and make the white yellow. Bring this black in around here and the white around here. Now click on the plus and let's make this black and put it here. One thing that I forgot to do is to set the math node to multiply. Select the icosphere and click on new. Delete the principal BSDF and add a glass BSDF. Connect the BSDF to the surface. Now click and drag here and type in Fresnel and go to layer weight, Fresnel. Let's go to the render properties. By the way, I'm going to use cycles for this with 128 samples. Enable denoise and augment. Do use optics if you can. If not, then just use OpenImage denoise. Go to film and enable transparent glass. And also enable transparent if you haven't already. Now go to color management and set the look to very high contrast. You can also enable motion blur if you like. It makes it more realistic, but it will add a lot of render time. I'm going to render this image with and without motion blur so you have a comparison. So I'm going to enable it, and I recommend setting the shutter to 0.1. As you can see, the difference isn't that big, but I'm going to leave it enabled. Now let's go to compositing, enable use nodes, and here enable denoising data to get these outputs. Add a denoise node set to accurate, and now let's save again. Go to the output properties and let's set this to JPEG and set the quality to 100%. Now click on this icon here and create a new folder for the rendered images. I already did that, so I'm going to paste the location in here. Now I'm going to call the images rendered images. And if I put an underscore after the name, Blender is going to automatically assign numbers to the frames. Now click on accept, save again, and go to render animation. When it's done rendering, close this window and go to video editing. Hover over the file location and press Ctrl C to copy it. Go to the file format and set it to FFmpeg video. Now under encoding, set the container to MPEG-4. Go down to video and set the output quality to high quality. Now go here and hit Shift A, image sequence. As you can see, I'm already in the folder where I have the folder with the rendered images, but if you are not, then you can paste the location in here, minus the name. Delete it, hit enter and press A, enter. By the way, make sure you're on frame 1. Save again and go to render animation. So that's it with the tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please let me know what to shoot next, and I'll see you next time.